All right, everyone, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling motivation.
Ooh, yeah. Always a good one.
I know, right? So we're diving into this episode of The Motivated Mind.
Okay.
And the hosts, Lisa and Mark, they get right into it talking about how it's actually not about motivation, it's discipline.
Interesting, because everyone always wants to be motivated.
Right. But they make this distinction between motivation, which, let's be honest, it comes and goes,
Totally.
and discipline, which is something you build.
Oh, that's a good point.
So you can't just wait around to feel motivated,
Right. You have to build that discipline.
And I think Lisa's story, she talks about running a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
And she said she hated running.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That's amazing. Like, she pushed through that.
Exactly. She decided that marathon was important to her and just kept showing up.
See, and that's what they mean by your mind will quit before your body does.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So think about it. What's your marathon right now?
Oh.
Where are you feeling stuck?
Ooh, good question.
What if the answer isn't finding motivation, but building that discipline?
Which I think is actually way more empowering.
It is, because it means it's in your control.
Exactly. And then Mark talks about the why, like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this?
Yes, have a vision.
Because that's what keeps you going, even when it's hard.
Absolutely. And, they talk about taking things one step at a time, celebrating those little wins.
Oh, the small wins are huge.
I know.
Yeah.
They even suggested write down 3 small wins you've had just this week. Just think about that.
And sometimes those small wins are, how you convince yourself to even get started.
Oh, totally. Like proof you're on the right track, even if it doesn't feel like it yet.
Exactly.
And speaking of things that make a difference, they brought up environment.
Oh, yeah.
Like who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And it made me think, that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you're around most?
It's so true. Like, if everyone's complaining and making excuses,
Nah.
are you really going to be gung-ho to go after your goals? Probably not.
So it's way harder, for sure.
But then, flip side, if you're around people who are driven,
Yeah, or positive.
that energy, it's contagious.
For sure. Okay, but then they got into something even more, I don't know, internal.
What's that?
Self-talk.
Oh, huge.
They use that example of I can't versus how can I?
Right. And it seems so small,
That
but
changes everything.
because your brain believes what you tell it, even if it's not true.
It's crazy. Like we're constantly, well, I know I do,
Yeah.
being my own worst critic
Oh, me too.
instead of like, I don't know, my own cheerleader.
Yeah. So
But-
how do we change that? Well, first, you got to notice it. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself when things get tough.
That negative self-talk.
Yeah. And then ask yourself, is this even true? Or am I just scared?
Which is usually the case, right?
Often, yeah. It's not about pretending things are easy, but approaching them like you can figure it out.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just
Yeah.
shutting down.
Exactly. Believe you can learn and adapt.
It's like we keep saying discipline, but it's kind of like building mental toughness too, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
You got to flex that muscle. And each time you choose a better thought, that's a rep.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so we're training our brains just like we'd train for a marathon.
Exactly.
We're basically mental athletes, huh? Training for the big leagues.
I like it. And every athlete needs their toolkit, right?
Yeah.
So let's recap. What have we got? What are we taking away from all this?
Oh, good question. Like, how do we actually use this stuff?
Well, first up, it's not about motivation, it's discipline.
Right. You said that. That's huge.
Because that's the thing you build,
Right.
You don't wait around for it.
And that's where the mental toughness comes in, right? Like Lisa in that marathon.
Yeah, exactly. Pushing past those mental barriers, that's where the magic is.
Because our minds will totally try to quit way before our bodies will.
Oh, for sure. And that's why that why is so important. Got to have that vision that keeps you going when...
Yeah, when you just don't want to,
Exactly. Like, what's the bigger picture here?
Okay, but also we need to celebrate the small stuff along the way.
Oh, yeah. Those small wins, they add up. It's not going to feel huge every day, right?
Definitely not. But those little wins, that's the proof, I think.
They totally are. And don't forget, look around you, too. Who are you hanging out with?
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
Because that energy, it rubs off, good or bad.
So true. And I guess same goes for how we talk to ourselves, right?
Huge. You wouldn't believe how much your self-talk impacts everything.
That I can't versus how can I, that blew my mind.
It's a game changer. Seriously. Because most of the time, we can. We just got to figure out how.
And that's the fun part, right? Like challenging yourself.
Totally. It's about building that belief in yourself that you can learn and grow.
Okay, so this has been amazing. We've got discipline, mental toughness, our why, little wins, good people around us.
And positive self-talk. Don't forget that one.
Oh, right. See, I need to write this all down.
Me too. But seriously, this is like the roadmap, and you don't need to be perfect at it every day. Just keep practicing.
Yeah, it's a journey. Thanks for diving into all this with me.
Anytime. Now go crush those goals.